Hey YouTube, Logan with Hideaway Homestead, back at the pond today to continue the series that I mentioned in a couple of videos ago of fishing and homesteading. Now today I'm going to be talking about something that might seem like it doesn't have a whole lot to do with fishing. And I want to be clear about what I'm going to make this series about. It's going to be about fishing for sustainable protein, really, on the homestead. And so that's going to include managing the ecosystems that you're going to grow your fish in, because you're not going to fish completely off of the property. I'm not an expert angler. I've got plenty of experience under my belt and have fished for years and do pretty good, so I'm going to have plenty of tips and tricks, but at the same time we're going to be mainly focusing on how this is going to help you have a good protein source for your property. I've explained that in the videos before. It'll be in this playlist. But today we're going to be talking about the food web of a pond. And behind me I have a pond that is slowly turning into a swamp right now. And the food web is extremely vast in a pond. So this is going to be a several part video on the ecosystem. And I'm probably going to have to name them food web, or pond food web 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and however many I need to do, just because it's so important to understand the food web and to manage it to where you're going to have success and you're going to have good production out of your pond. So we're going to start out on the food web at the bottom of the food chain, which there's in a web, there's going to be several ends to that web that are going to be down on the lower end of stuff that everything eats. And full disclosure, I'm not a biologist. I love biology. I love botany. There's a lot of stuff that I'll explain if I ever misspeak on something. Somebody, I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. There's always those people on YouTube that just look for something. I haven't really had any of those on any of my videos. Everything that I've been receiving has been extremely supportive, but y'all know those people are out there. So if I misspeak, I'm sorry. And always verify anything that I tell you here on the channel, as far as anything to do with biology or ecology in general, just to make sure that I've got the names of stuff right and that I'm telling you stuff correctly. I'm actually going to pause the video here real quick and start with this at the bottom of the feed. All right, folks, so some people may be flipping out about West Nile virus or whatever, but as you can see, I'm letting this mosquito here finish her meal on my finger. Normally I swat them. I'm not that much of a hippie. She just left. But mosquitoes are one of the things that are at the bottom of the food chain for a pond. Now let's talk about what eat mosquitoes. So, well, first of all, let's talk about what mosquitoes eat. So mosquitoes, the adult mosquitoes, the females that are going to lay eggs, will suck blood of any animal. So we're considered, in that we're warm-blooded. They're going to suck our blood, and they're going to use that blood to make eggs. They make tons of eggs. I want to say that each female lays around, it's something like 40 to 100 eggs. I may be wrong with that, maybe even more, but that's normally what I see once a female lays eggs. It seems like there's about 40 to 100 larvae. And those larvae eat algae and other tiny microscopic things in a pond, or well, really in just a pool. So when I say that we need to make habitat for mosquitoes, don't think that I'm saying make a swamp that's going to make you miserable to where you're sitting outside and all you're doing is getting bit by skeeters all evening when you're trying to enjoy your water feature. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying we should supply an area for them to breed, but we don't want them to overrun us. If mosquitoes disappeared tomorrow, we would be in a whole lot of trouble. Whole ecosystems would be devastated. So we don't want to eradicate the mosquitoes. We just want to control the mosquitoes. And the best way to control mosquitoes is to turn them into delicious fish. How do we do that? Well, mosquitoes are eating a lot of times by dragonflies, and we've got tons of dragonflies around this pond. I don't think any of them's going to be still enough for me to video them. If I had a fishing pole out here, they would more than likely come and land on my fishing pole. They always do anytime I go to the lake. But the mosquitoes are eaten by dragonflies, which are also considered mosquito hawks, because they will eat 200 or 300 mosquitoes a day. So you're supplying them with a food source. Now those, I'm gonna have to be really careful when I do these videos, because they can end up lasting about 30 minutes if I don't, kind of stop somewhere. We'll probably visit dragonflies again and talk about why they're so important to have around the pond. But let's focus on mosquitoes for now. I'm gonna reel myself back in, pun intended. And the mosquitoes are eaten by dragonflies and frogs, which are an important part of the ecosystem in a pond. And then the mosquito larvae are eaten by a lot of different aquatic insects that are normally larvae, and also frogs. I think tadpoles will eat them a little bit, but mostly it's little minnows that eat mosquitoes. So that's number one, just because I wasn't going to start with that, but since I had a mosquito sitting right on my finger, I thought might as well start with the skeeters and the larvae, since I could get a little bit of footage of that one sucking my blood out there. The next thing is, which I was originally going to start with, and that's leaves. Leaves are a huge, huge, huge part of the ecosystem in an aquatic system. Now, as you can see here in the water, we've got tons of leaves. There's also a ton of aquatic plants, but the reason why these leaves are so important is because the trees are mining nutrients from underground, and they're also collecting energy from the sun and turning that into biomass, and that's then dropped into the pond and allowed to break down and feed the pond. Now, a lot of things feed on leaves. Bacteria, there are tiny little arthropods, which are basically just anything like water fleas, your roly-polies that are aquatic, which are isopods is the scientific name for them. They're also present in this body of water. I've got to get some of them to have footage for when we talk about them, but they feed that, and they also just give nutrients and break down. And once they've gone through the process of being broken down by all those little microscopic critters and the insects and snails as well. Snails are a huge part of a pond. You need snails in every aquatic body, just any body of water that you've got. You want snails. It's a healthy part of the system. So those are the things that eat the leaves. So they are a huge part of the pond. And once those little critters have eaten those leaves and broke down that nutrients, a lot of times that's the point where plants in the pond are able to take that nutrients up. Okay. Next thing on the food chain is plants and phytoplankton. So these are the bottom of the food web, these three things. And there's some that I've missed, I know, because they're, many in an aquatic system, but your plants and your phytoplankton, stuff that's going to receive energy from photosynthesis and take a little bit of nutrient from the water to be able to make biomass, those are extremely important in an aquatic system. We have stuff like cattails here. We have some of that little parrot's feather. There's willows growing around the tree or around the pond. There are grasses in here. There's your little bladderwort, which is actually a carnivorous plant. Carnivorous plant. I'll be able to say it here in a minute. I almost said carnivorous, but we're talking about eating meat. Carnivorous plants, and they eat a lot of little tiny insects and arthropods. So you've got them, at the bottom of the food chain, because something will eat that plant matter. My Muscovy ducks that y'all have seen on the channel, they eat a ton of green. So a lot of this stuff here, if I can ever get them to come down here to the pond and stay in it, they'll clean all of this out and eat a lot of it. So those are pretty much 3 of your most basic, like down at the bottom of the food web for a pond. And I'm going to try to end it right there to where we can go more in depth on each of these things. I'm going to make a video going in on the mosquito larvae and the plants and leaves, but that's just kind of an introduction there to the food web. I hope that these videos are helpful. It's going to be me rambling a lot about this. I just love talking about aquatic systems, so hopefully it won't bore everyone to death, and it'll be something that'll be beneficial to you. Well, that's it for this episode on the pond ecology for maintaining your ponds on your homestead for fishing. Like I said, I hope it was helpful. Hope it wasn't too rambly. Hope it was information packed. If you liked this video, please drop a like. If you have anything to add or any questions or anything specifically that you would like me to touch on in the ecology of aquatic systems, then just leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this, and to not miss any of the videos that I drop. I drop one every day. So appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.